Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for a conversation that takes us into the world where architecture meets AI and where complexity demands new ways of thinking. As project managers, we are all under pressure to deliver faster, smarter, and more collaboratively. But what does that actually looks like when you're managing construction of or architectural projects with many moving parts, shifting requirements in an ever expanding fields of data? Today's session isn't about futuristic concepts. It's about the real world implementation. We'll explore how AI is already supporting project managers in scenario testing, design analysis, and stakeholder communication, and even more than that. But we'll also talk about where the limits are, because at the heart of all this technology, the human project manager still plays a central role in navigating complexity, making ethical decisions, and ensuring delivery. Ola will take us through use cases, challenges, and lessons learned from her own experience managing architectural projects. And I'll be honest, as someone with the background in IT, I have a lot of questions. The risks, opportunities, and workflows in construction, I believe, differ in many ways from what we see in tech environments, especially when it comes to regulatory, organizational, and environmental factors. And maybe not. But I'm really curious and I have a few questions to ask, and I hope you are too. So, whether you're already integrating AI into your work or are just curious about how things are possible with that, you are in the right place. Let's take a look in our agenda and kick off today's session. We'll begin with a short welcoming, talking about our chapter and our local group Darmstadt, for those who are not familiar with it, including a few words about both, of course, and how we aim to bring relevant and engaging conversation to our community of project professionals through our work. Right after that, I'll introduce Oya and give you a brief glimpse into her impressive background in managing architectural and construction projects. And from 6:10 to 7:20, Oya will have the floor. And at 7:20, we'll wrap up with a few important updates. We'll invite you to read the session using the Mentimeter code. We'll give you a preview of our upcoming events in the local group, and you will receive the PDO code. Before we begin, however, I want to remind you of some housekeeping notes to ensure a smooth and engaging session. Please keep your microphone muted throughout the presentation to avoid background noise. We kindly ask you to use a full name so we can log you and match you with a PDU. If you'd like, you're more than welcome to turn on your camera, so we always enjoy seeing your faces and creating a sense of connection. Feel free to use the chat window at any time of point to ask questions, drop comments, or even share your LinkedIn profile if you like to network. You're also welcome to reach out directly to our speaker after the session with any follow-up thoughts or questions. Please note that this session is recorded, and however, any recording or transcriptions by participants or AI bots is strictly prohibited. Founded in 2020 throughout the merger of three former chapters, our chapter now spans 5 regions and more than 25 local groups. We are proud to represent a dynamic community of approximately 11,000 PMI members across Germany, coming from 43 different countries. Nearly 4,000 of those are part of our chapter diverse and international network. Our work is powered by a dedicated team of over 150 volunteers who bring energy, expertise, and passion to everything we do. Together, we are committed to supporting the project management profession by empowering leaders, facilitating continuous learning, creating space for connection and collaboration, and by driving social impact through projects and local initiatives. This is who we are, and we are glad you are here with us. And let me tell you exactly who we are now. In local group Darmstadt, we are the only English-speaking hub of PMI Germany chapter, a community built by volunteers from 5 different countries, working together to create meaningful learning spaces for professionals across borders. We host 2 online events, as you already know, and 1 roundtable conversation in person, because we believe in the power of connection, both virtual and human. Since we started, over 2,500 people have joined our events, and more than 60 of them have shown such commitment that they attended 10 or more sessions. That's a true sign of impact. We also keep the conversation going on LinkedIn, where our community of 500 plus members continues to grow and support one another. Now, behind all of this is a team of dedicated volunteers. We have Thomas joining us from Bad Kreuznach in Germany, Florian from France, who is based in Darmstadt, Mohammed, who is originally from Afghanistan and is also based in Darmstadt, Tufik, who is contributing all the way from Beirut, Olya, who is in Stuttgart but is originally from North Macedonia, and myself, who is based in Brussels and also originally from North Macedonia. Together, we shape this local group with passion and purpose, and we're glad you're part of it tonight. And help me introduce Olya now. Olya is an accomplished architect and consultant with a track record of leading complex architectural projects across diverse sectors. Her work spans from the fast-paced world of automotive designing for iconic brands like Mercedes-Benz and AMG to impactful social infrastructure projects focusing on energy efficiency, including collaborations with KfW. She brings deep expertise in coordinating multidisciplinary teams, ensuring that visionary concepts are seemingly translated into reality, always with a sharp eye on cultural, technical, and human nuances. Olya is also an active volunteer, as I mentioned in our chapter, contributing to our collaborative mission of advancing in project management profession and fostering meaningful knowledge sharing. Her design philosophy is firmly human-centered, rooted in balancing innovation and tradition, and creating spaces that serve both people and progress. We are genuinely delighted to have her speaking for us today, and please join me in welcoming Olya. Olya, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I will share my presentation now.
Carry on, please. Thank you.
So, good evening, or should I say here in Germany still day. It's a pleasure to be here with the PMI community, and tonight we're going to embark on a journey, much like the architectural projects many of us navigate daily, or some of us. It's a journey that begins with a simple sketch, a bold idea, and which culminates in a tangible structure. A home, maybe an office, a brand center, a bigger scale project. It's a journey. So, as we all know it, it's rarely linear. It's filled with challenges, complexities, and countless decisions. My aim this hour or so is to explore how a powerful new ally, the artificial intelligence, is transforming the journey. Not by taking over, not by replacing the human touch, but by becoming an indispensable support system. Think of it as moving from drawing blueprints by hand to leveraging advanced digital tools that amplify our capabilities. We're going to look at where AI truly supports rather than replaces the project manager in architecture. So, as Maria introduced me, who am I? For those of you who haven't had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Olya Stefanovska. I'm an architect by profession. Since 3 years, I'm working in Stuttgart in Germany. I have experience, I came here as a practicant and slowly climbed the ladder of becoming an architectural in practice here in Germany and getting my licenses here. Almost there, I'm still in the procedure, of course. But I've been introduced to various systems as BMI, building information modeling with AutoCAD and etc. I came here by the GIZ program, and so far I've managed to work on projects as Mercedes and AMG with brand centers, and also working on large-scale projects, which include the highway funding, like social structure, which adds a new complexity, navigating like regulations, community needs, and diverse stakeholders. And also I have working experience in Macedonia. So my international experience working both in Germany and Macedonia has further broadened my perspective on different building codes, cultural nuances, and project delivery methods. So my question is, why am I here today? Because throughout these experiences, I've witnessed firsthand the growing complexity of our field. And I believe artificial intelligence is emerging as a transformative force, not to take over, but to truly empower a project manager like us. I'm here to share how artificial intelligence is becoming a powerful support system for project managers and how we can harness its potential. So, architecture and design projects are becoming more complex and data-driven and high risk. Let's be honest, the world of architecture and design is not getting any simpler. In fact, it's getting exponentially more complex. Modern buildings aren't just structures, they're intricate ecosystems where we are grappling with unprecedented demands for sustainability, requiring intricate calculations for energy efficiency and material life cycles. Compliance means navigating a labyrinth of ever-evolving regulations, and user needs are more diverse and specific than vast amounts of disparate information. This leads us to the second point. We're in a heavily data-driven era. The sheer volume of data we encounter daily is staggering, from energy performance metrics to material assessments, from site analysis to cost projections. As project managers, we often find ourselves drowning in this data, struggling to make sense of it all, to make timely informed decisions. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose. And all of this culminates in a high-risk environment. Tight budgets, aggressive timelines, and immense stakeholder pressure means that there's little to no room for error. We're constantly coordinating large interdisciplinary teams, trying to keep everyone aligned and on track. It's like constructing a symphony with 100 different instruments, all playing different tunes, and you, the project manager, are trying to make it sound harmonious. This often leads to burnout, missed opportunities, and sometimes less than optimal project outcomes. We're often stuck in a reactive mode, constantly firefighting rather than proactively steering the ship. So I will be talking a little intro in how, as project managers, we can use the artificial intelligence by this example, what could have been done if artificial intelligence was used. So this is I will be talking about the Hamburg Elbphilharmonie, which is a stunning building, which is in Germany, located in Hamburg. It's designed by the renowned Swiss architect Herzog in de Meuron. It's a concert hall that looks like a wave rising above the harbor, a true masterpiece of architecture. It's built over an existing building, which is like a crown which is the crown of Hamburg. But behind this beauty lies a different story, filled with delays, budget overruns, and planning chaos. Originally, this building was supposed to be finished in 2010 for 77 million euros. Instead, it was opened 7 years later, and the final cost was 860 million euros. That's more than 11 times the original budget. So what went wrong? What went wrong was the design changes during the construction, poor coordination between the suppliers, delays in decision-making, materials that were custom-made and delivered late, unclear risk forecasts. And all of this led to frustrated stakeholders, political scandal, and a big financial burden on the public. So now let's imagine if we had the AI-powered tools to help us during this project in that time. So basically, I will introduce Analysis Technologies. This is a firm which I have no contact or collaboration with is to promote it. It's just as a tool to tell you how we can do our project management better. So Alice Technology is a firm. It's from 2015, but let's use this as a tool if we had it at that time. So let's imagine using the Alice in the Elbphilharmonie. So artificial intelligence would simulate thousands of construction sequences before anything starts, identifying the fastest, most efficient, and most cost-effective way to build. It would optimize when to order the materials, so you're not stuck with late deliveries or stockpiles with sitting unused. If a design change happens, which plenty of it was made during the construction phase, with those glass, which was custom made, that looks like a crown, even with the Philharmonie itself, which is inside of the building in a shape of in oval shape, and the materials that were used inside. It will, as the changes arises, the system will, when the changes would be, we will put inside of this artificial intelligence simulator, it will recalculate the entire schedule instantly. So showing the impact on the time and on the cost. So we as a project manager would have made informed decisions. Tools also like Bulldots and Disperse, which track the progress in real time using side scans and data, automatically spotting delays or errors before they even grow into problems. And by integrating suppliers into the same digital environment, artificial intelligence could have improved coordination and communication dramatically. But I also have to mention at that time, the BIM as a tool was not used. The building information model, more specifically Revit, where all engineers, from architects, civil engineers to electricians and etc., everybody who is involved in a project would have run the whole project more smoothly, and everybody would have had access to the project itself in real time, and changes could be implemented in real time much faster. So with these tools, the city of Hamburg might have saved hundreds of millions of euros and opened the building years earlier. The lesson: artificial intelligence doesn't replace the project manager, but it gives us superpowers, foresight, clarity, and the ability to adapt fast. But as everything, it has its strengths and limitations. So let's imagine having a super assistant that can instantly analyze massive data sets, far more than any human ever could. Artificial intelligence excels at crunching numbers, identifying patterns, and processing information at scale. It can predict risk before they even become full-blown problems, generate countless design options in minutes, and even translate complex technical jargon into plain language for stakeholders. It's about augmenting our capabilities, giving us a powerful new lens through which to view and manage our projects. But here's the critical caveat. It's one, and I emphasize strongly, artificial intelligence has significant limitations. It lacks creative vision. That spark of genius that makes a building truly iconic or a space truly inviting. It doesn't possess ethical judgment as a project manager. That remains our responsibility, our moral compass. It can't emphasize what a client's anxieties are, for example, understand the unspoken needs, or inspire a team through a tough patch. And it certainly can't build those crucial stakeholder relationships that are bedrock of a successful project. These are uniquely human qualities, I would say, deeply embedded in our roles as project managers. So the key message, and one that resonates deeply with my own experience, is this: artificial intelligence supports the project manager. It doesn't replace them. We're still the architects of our projects, literally and figuratively. Artificial intelligence is a tool, a powerful one, but it's our human intellect, our creativity, and our leadership that remain at the crown. So, artificial intelligence in design as optimization. Let me give you a concrete example from the design phase. In the early stages of a project, especially for a complex urban development or a large-scale residential complex, we spend weeks, sometimes months, just to figure out the optimal layout. How do we maximize natural light penetration? How do we minimize noise pollution from a nearby road or railway? How do we ensure compliance with strict zoning laws, building constraints, all while creating a functional and aesthetically pleasing space? It's a massive multi-variable puzzle with seemingly endless possibility. This is where tools like Autodesk Forma and SpaceMaker AI are absolute game changers. So why they do? They can rapidly suggest optimal layouts considering factors like the condition, sunlight, wind patterns, and noise levels. They can even factor in zoning regulations and budget constraints. I've seen firsthand how these tools can quickly generate dozens, even hundreds of viable design options, allowing us to compare and contrast their performance with unprecedented speed. For a project manager, the impact is profound. This means a faster decision making in those critical early design phases, no more endless manual iteration of our waiting days for complex simulations. It also means better visualizations. When you can show a client, an investor, or a city planner a clear data-backed visual of how design performs under different conditions, how much sunlight in each apartment gets, or how wind flows around the building. It builds immense trust and aligns stakeholders much faster. It frees us to focus on the truly creative and strategic aspects of the design, rather than getting bogged down in repetitive calculation as we always do. And what is how does artificial intelligence navigate in risk management, which is the most important thing in the construction sector? When you're building for, let's say, Mercedes or AMG brand center, you're dealing with absolutely fixed launch dates. In my experience, a delay isn't just a budget overrun, it's a global crisis for the brand, impacting market campaigns, sales targets, and even stock prices sometimes. Imagine the stress of knowing a single misstep could derail a multi-million euro global launch. This is where artificial intelligence in risk management becomes invaluable. Tools like Alice Technologies and Nplan are transforming how we approach project risk. What they do is analyze massive amounts of historical project data, not just from our current project, but from thousands of similar projects globally. This can predict potential delays, cost overruns, and even labor issues with incredible accuracy. It's like having a crystal ball, but one powered by data, not magic. For a project manager, this is a profound shift. Imagine having early warnings before issues arise. Less firefighting, more foresight. Instead of reacting to a problem when it's already a crisis, you can proactively mitigate it. You can see the storm brewing on the horizon and adjust your course before it hits. This shifts our role from being reactive problem solvers to strategic risk navigators. It allows us to sleep a little bit better at night, knowing we have a powerful ally scanning the horizon for potential storms. And of course, the stakeholder alignment. Now let's talk about something we all can grapple with, meetings. How many of you have sat through endless meetings trying to capture every decision, every action item, every nuance, and then spend hours afterwards trying to synthesize it all for different stakeholders. The technical team needs granular detail, the client wants a high-level summary, the finance department needs budget implication. It's a communication marathon often. Things get lost in translation or simply missed. With artificial intelligence tools, these are revolutionizing the stakeholder alignment. Tools like Fireflies or Otter AI can automatically summarize meetings and decisions, extracting key points and action items. They can even create customized dashboards for different stakeholder groups, presenting information in a format that's most relevant to them. And crucially, they can translate complex technical jargon into plain language, bridging communication gaps between diverse teams who might not speak the same language of construction or finance. The benefit for project managers is profound: clearer, faster, and more inclusive communication. No more I said that or he said that. Everyone is on the same page with easy access to the information they need, tailored to their perspective. This builds immense trust and fosters a sense of unity, which is absolutely essential in complex architectural projects where so many different parties are involved and need to work in perfect harmony. So now let's talk about challenges and ethics, or better yet, data privacy, bias, transparency, and over reliance. So now let's take a critical look of artificial intelligence. If we don't address the challenges and ethical considerations, what will happen? So these are real issues we have as in our critical role to play in navigating them responsibly. First, data privacy and ownership. Artificial intelligence thrives on data. But in an industry dealing with sensitive client information, proprietary designs, and confidential financial details, who owns the data? How is it secured? We must ensure robust safeguards are in place to protect sensitive information and maintain trust, especially here in Germany, let's say. Second, artificial intelligence bias. Artificial intelligence learns from the data it's fed. If that data is incomplete, unrepresentative, or inherently biased, the artificial intelligence outputs will reflect the bias. I mean, it's clear. Imagine an artificial intelligence suggesting designs that are less accessible to certain groups, or risk assessments that unfairly penalize specific communities. We need to be incredibly vigilant about this, the training sets and the algorithms themselves, ensuring fairness and equity. Third, the transparency in decision making. If an artificial intelligence suggests a design optimization or flags a potential risk, how did it arrive to that conclusion? We need to understand the why behind its recommendation. We can't blindly follow. We must be able to interrogate the artificial intelligence logic, understand its parameters, and ultimately trust its outputs. Like, this requires a level of transparency in artificial intelligence system that is still evolving. And finally, the risk of over-reliance. Artificial intelligence is a tool, a powerful one, but it's still a tool. We must not become complacent or sate or critical thinking our human judgment or our intuition and our experience to algorithms. The human element, our creativity, our empathy, our leadership, our ability to adapt to unforeseen circumstances remains absolutely irreplaceable. Our role as project managers is to set clear boundaries, lead ethically, and stay accountable for the decision made, whether or not they were influenced by an artificial intelligence. So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? It's simple, yet profound. Artificial intelligence gives project managers superpowers. It gives us the power to analyze more data than ever before, to predict future challenges with greater accuracy, and to communicate with an unparalleled clarity. But you, the project manager, are still the pilot. You hold the controls, you set the course. Artificial intelligence is the advanced navigation system, the powerful engine, but you are the one steering the ship. Use artificial intelligence to free up your time from repetitive, mundane tasks, allowing you to focus on strategy, innovation, and those crucial human connections that only you can foster. Use it to reduce risk by gaining unprecedented foresight into potential issues. Use it to build better stakeholder trust through enhanced clarity, efficiency, and data-driven insights. Remember, artificial intelligence doesn't manage projects. You do. Artificial intelligence just helps you do it better. It's about elevating our profession, not diminishing it. It's about unlocking new levels of potential for ourselves and for the incredible project we bring to life. So we come to the questions and answers, and to reiterate the future of project management in architecture isn't about artificial intelligence replacing us, but about artificial intelligence is here to achieve new levels of efficiency, insight, and collaboration. It's about working smarter, not harder. I encourage you all to explore these tools, to experiment them with if you're in the construction sector, and to embrace artificial intelligence as a new powerful partner in your hands and projects. The journey ahead in architecture and design is incredibly exciting, filled with new possibilities. And with artificial intelligence by our side, we can build not just better buildings, but better futures. Thank you. I'm now open for your questions and for further discussions.
We have already several comments in chat. Let me just open it and see.
Yeah.
Victoria is saying, thank you very much for sharing your experience, Olya. Who do you think is accountable of the outcome of AI-driven projects?
That's a very good question, Victoria. Thank you for asking that. So who is accountable for of the outcome of an artificial intelligence-driven projects? Depending on the data, depending on the AI itself, the one who makes the decision is accountable for the AI-driven project. It's an AI-driven project, but we as project manager are the one who take the final decision of it all. We just gather data. If we put ourselves correct data and a very precise data, we can have a better outlook and more. We can gather more information about it, so we can make a better strategy about it. But at the end of the day, we are accountable for everything we do.
Does that answer your question, Victoria?
Yes, thank you. So at the end of the day, it's the project manager who is accountable and responsible of everything. But I was wondering if there is also maybe the organization itself or the developer or the stakeholders. I'm not sure about that's only this project manager who is who should be accountable of everything, of the outcome. So I'm not sure about that, but maybe it's also because from the IT perspective where I come from, it's maybe a bit different.
So in the construction sector, it's a little bit different because the project manager itself is between the lines of the clients and the people who are building the project. It doesn't matter if it's a small scale project or a more complex one. The artificial intelligence as a tool is just a tool, but gathering the information, what we put inside, and depending on various things like contracts, materials, I don't know, other stuff that runs the project, at the end of the day, the decision making is by the project manager.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm.
Also,
there is another question from Christian Lopez. How is this tool licensed, cloud-based, suitable for other industries, intuitive? Are you talking about the Alice technologies or which one?
So. Christian, I believe you refer to Alice that was mentioned on the presentation, but if you don't, maybe you can write any specific that you want Olya to give response.
Yes, it was specifically to the example of Alice, and yeah, I'm a little bit impaired of talking because I'm in a public place. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So Alice is actually a tool. It's a license, of course. You have access to it, of course. You buy it. But maybe it can be suitable for other industries, maybe in the aero production sector, maybe in the oil sector. But it's the main focus. It's on the construction sector. Because this is mainly for that. And is it intuitive? Yes, it is. You can easily navigate it. Sorry for the noise.
Something's happening there.
I don't know.
I hope everything is okay.
Yeah, it's very intuitive. Basically, this tool collaborates very closely with the BIM software, and every information that is put there, it can recalculate every change. For example, if you have, let's say, senior architects that are working on a specific large-scale project, because this tool is mainly used in industries, not industries, in projects that are on a large-scale project. Let's say like hospitals, maybe roads, tunnels, like large-scale project. It's very effective there. And let's say we have a senior architects that are working on a project that can last, I don't know, let's say 5 years. But in the meantime, these senior architects have to go into pension. This software, if you put the information inside, can take into consideration that they have to be a substitute for that. It will notify, like, it will recalculate the time that is needed, for example, within the working force, the time that you need to substitute some key person that is running the project. This can also be for teammates, for example, if somebody gets sick, or generally, for example, depending in which country you're using. Some countries are more prone, for example, to, let's say, earthquakes. It can calculate, for example, an unforeseen risk, like, or fire if it happens, or these are all risks that you cannot foresee them. But if something like this, for example, happens, if you put the input inside of this tool, it will recalculate, for example, how long it will take, and etc., to continue with the project.
Mm-hmm. It gives a path forward, considering the facts.
Yes, it gives you multiple strategies of how to approach the problem.
I see.
Yes.
Also, Niels has a question. He says that he cannot speak because he's in a public place, but he's curious how, what is your experience in Germany? For example, Mercedes is a client. Now, how do they handle data policy, data privacy concerns, for example, with this Alice tool? And are they okay to share documents with the AI?
Just a second so I can read the question.
It's the second question, right after Anders Victoria's.
So, for example, the Alice tool is not used specifically by them. I just mentioned that in general because it's taking a global turn currently, and it's used in large-scale companies. Sorry, stop sharing. It's used in large-scale companies, for example, like in Plenia or Parsons. And you can see online what are their results, like cutting the timeline of the projects, which saves a lot of, like percentage-wise, 12 to 14%, which in revenue it can come up to 32 million euros, which is quite a big number when you're working on large-scale projects, because time is money at the end of the day. But currently with Mercedes, they handle data privacy quite different, because they're not using the Alice tools. As are they sharing the documents with I? So from my experience, because I'm an architect and I work with projects like that, for example, with third parties, they are not sharing documents at all. But within the software itself, yes. For example, we work in building information model Revit. Yes, we're giving away information inside. We put it there, and when we're collaborating, for example, with stakeholders, yes, in between us, we are sharing that information about the project, of course. I want to say, for example, when it's outside of a contract, we're not sharing information, which is quite logical.
Mm-hmm.
And there is another question.
Yes, from Robert, right under Niels. Well, I have I love your reference to music, harmony, symphony, and boundaries. Indeed, you mentioned maybe a question about documentation. AI might generate infinite documentation. Yes. What do you think about the pros and cons of finite, bounded versus infinite, unbounded amount of documentation?
I'm not understanding quite the question itself. Are you talking
Maybe.
about infinite production of data itself? What do you do with that? How do you select it?
So I think that you mentioned AI documenting meeting minutes, notes, action items for a high percentage of meetings, right? So I think that the amount of project documentation, sorry, someone, I don't know if that's background noise or just someone trying to interrupt, but I'll
might
keep
be
going.
coming from. I think so.
I can't tell where it's coming from. I don't think it's coming from mine. And if the question doesn't make sense, then we can skip it. I just think that for architecture, for example, I would imagine building a large building, there are certain things, the whole construction project, not just the edifice itself, there's a bounded number. It's finite, right? In a statement of work, in a contract, one building might be 80 documents. Another project might be 100. Another project might be 140. So it's not static, and it's not always the same, but I believe that a disciplined project has a finite number of things to put on paper. And so with AI, does it mean documentation is infinite and that it makes no sense to set expectations about what is worth documenting? Do we avoid expectations about what is worth documenting? Am I making sense at all? And if not, we should move on. It's okay if I'm not making sense. And I think Maria's trying to say
Olya,
something.
you're muted.
Okay.
Yes. I was telling Olya that she's muted and maybe she's also trying to speak.
I was speaking a little bit. Sorry. So I'm not understanding you quite. I'm not understanding you quite well. But for example, but from what I gathered from your question, let's put it this way. We as architects, of course, we produce quite a large of an amount of data. It doesn't matter if it's only with a traditional. Sorry for the background. I don't know what's happening here.
I hope everything is okay.
I have no idea.
Maybe you should go and check if there's a fire in the area or something, because it sounds serious.
I cannot see anything from here, but nevertheless. So let's put it this way. It's in the construction world, we of course produce a big amount of data, whether it's just the design itself, even if it's going linear, and even if we go with alternatives or change of design, or maybe some legal aspects, let's say breaking of contracts or going another way. Materials are not distributed on time, or we have too much of them. Maybe some risks that are on a larger scale, let's say like earthquakes, or I don't know, like fires, or what in that manner, let's say. Of course, contribute a large amount of data. But from my experience so far, the relevant data that we keep, of course, in the process, for example, because we have like phases, let's say phase 1 to 9, and of course we have phase 0, which not a lot of people understand. This is before the planning. This is the calculating of the energy efficiency of the building, how much it will maybe it will cost, and if it's delayed, like what will happen, like scenarios and strategies, how to approach. And then when the first phase, when it comes, then it's the contracts, and then it goes further with development. This all is making data, of course, but in between the phases, we have like before the decision is made, we gather data, which is relevant on the topic, and we gather as much as we can, which is relevant and correct. And afterward, there is a decision made, like we're going this way, in this way because it makes more sense, or this is budget-wise, or this is time-wise, the design itself is good. We can maybe make the building, if it's a school, let's say, it will be used maybe in 30 years, but what happens afterwards? Can we make the school, is the space that we're gonna make more flexible, let's say, so we can maybe make it with a different a different title, let's say. It won't be a school anymore, but maybe it can be, I don't know, like offices or something else. This is made, but what I'm trying to say is that in a specific time, we gather information and we have the decision, and afterwards this is collected and documented. The decision itself is the final. The data in between, it is important till the decision is made, but afterwards just the decision and the footstep that it took to that decision is the one that is mainly documented. Of course, from the legal aspect, the contracts and everything stays there. But I cannot say certainly, because every project is a story by itself and follows a different path. Even if you're comparing like seemingly similar project, it can vary from contracts, people, time, budgets, management. At the end of the day, it can vary on everything.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Also, Niels added to your comment, Olya, that he said it might be a typical German European challenge, but my experience is that data privacy is holding back a lot of customers with such out-of-the-box solutions. It is much different in other regions, example, Middle East. What is your...
I cannot say that for the Middle East. I haven't worked there in that area. But here, for example, in Germany, I would say, yes, we have limits, and people here take the data quite seriously, and it's limited. But depends on the firm itself. I had positive experience where, of course, it was limited, but it was not that straightened, in which it was not allowing further development in a different manner.
Mm-hmm.
I have a positive experience here so far.
That's good to know. And I was actually going to, because I don't see any other questions on... Oh no, there is
yeah.
From Surya. Thank you very much for the presentation. This is my first meeting here, and I really appreciate the insight so far. I'd like to ask, how do you assess the risk of using AI at each stage of the project lifecycle? And do you apply any specific metrics of expert frameworks to evaluate trade-offs and ensure accuracy when integrating AI into decision-making? There are a couple of questions, so maybe you can read them and answer one by one.
Each one.
Mm-hmm.
In the risk using AI, each stage of the project cycle, let's use again Alice technology. With AI, it can give you, sorry. Okay, in the project life cycle, what risk, how do you access the risk of, you mean as in the software itself, how do you access the risk? Because let's take Alice technology, for example, if you put the correct metrics, and what would happen, for example, if there were, let's say, an earthquake, if that's a predominantly, if you're building a project that is prone to earthquake, let's say, it will recalculate, for example, in which you can access these strategies in each stage of the project life cycle, in what steps or strategies you can take to overcome the problem itself. if you're meaning in this aspect.
She's referring to assessing the risk.
Yeah, because like
Or
let's say if
he,
we
sorry.
no, it's let's say if we use AI, let's say in terms of risk management or like quality management, like there might be several outputs based on the inputs that we provide, right? And every output will have its own pros and cons, and that's where I would like to understand, like, how do we assess each
Aha.
of the options, and will there be any trade-offs being considered or any metrics that we will take into consideration during?
So this is what I mentioned actually in the presentation. I doesn't make the decisions for us. We as project manager make the decisions. I, for example, will give you the output strategies, information, and everything that is relevant for the project. But at the end of the day, you are the one that's gonna make, based on those informations, a decision. With your intuition, your leadership, your ethics, morals, it's on to you.
Yeah.
You just have access just to the information, and based on that you make a decision.
Andreas, yeah, I would like to ask to add to the question, because I think it's very to the point. The question is, at the end we make the decision, but how do you assess the quality of the answers? Because, for example, if you look at ChatGPT, putting in a meeting transcript and you start the process 3 times, you get 3 different results. And this is just a meeting transcript. If you now have some kind of complex input, like your planning or so on, the question, if I get it right, and I totally like the question, is how do you assess the quality of the output? Is there kind of methodical approach? At the end, I have to do the decision. I'm the project manager, or the client, we have to make the decision. But if, for example, I throw the same input to the machine, to the IE, and I get 3 different results, how do I assess the quality?
Okay.
Can I be 80% sure that I'm on the right path with this answer, or is my confidence level 50% or whatsoever?
So let's say we're still talking about Alice technology. So this
sorry, that's a general question to all the tools, because I think some mechanisms are the same for every AI, right? They are guessing the answer. They do not know. At the end, AI, as far as I understand it, is guessing the answer. And so to some extent they are guessing good, and for others they are not guessing good. So the question is, which measurements can we apply to assess whether the answer is good or not?
So, for example, you have to first see the tool that you're using, which type of AI you're using for which specific thing. Some AI tools provide historical data of other similar projects, let's say, and how they were solved. It's very similar in your case, and it can compare the situation, and based on this information, it can give you the possible outcome or ways that you can solve or approach the problem. And into what percentage it was solved and satisfied everybody, every stakeholder.
Okay, thank you.
So perhaps I'll come back to the same question. I'm also interested. Is there any technique that, as architect or within your field, that your colleagues and you are using to measure or to use as measurements whether the outputs that are given from Alice or any other AI tool that you're using in your work are truthful, are valid? Because it had happened so many times so far. To see the results are different for the same input that we are giving. Are there any methodology that you're using to verify whether these outputs are right to be considered or not, regardless if they're coming from historic data? I mean, that's very, very useful, because I remember in one of the companies that was working, we were building a custom application for ourselves to collect all the project management lessons learned, so we can use that data and create predictions for our future and prevent also some mistakes that we were doing during the implementation of the project. But that tool also was prone to mistakes based on current emotional state of the project manager who is giving the information inside the app. And also at the end of the day, it was the decision of the project manager who reads that output from that custom application. It was many years before AI comes. So what is the current way? How do you verify whether the output is correct and is actually going to help you make the right decision, and you should take it into consideration?
You have to check it. I also mentioned in the presentation itself, you always have to question the information. I mean, in general information, even if it comes from the same firm, a very similar project, we always question, we take it into consideration, but we will question. You always have to ask the why this, why that, and etc. After gaining information on the whys that is satisfying, I would say, afterwards, when you collect all that whys and the answers of that whys, you can make a decision based on that. But we shouldn't follow AI blindly. We always have to question everything.
Yeah.
Even when we're dealing with documents, everyday documents, you have to recheck them, numbers, like everything inside, even wording. You have to check it.
So when I collect requirements from the customers, they usually go for the design and it's nice to have them, but never discuss about the must-have. Usually they go for the most desired, far in the future requirement they should have in 3 years from now, but never for the current one. And that's why we use the why. And there are a lot of techniques that we use to drill down exactly to understand what they really need and what we have to focus on now for the MVP, for example. And I assume that I could use the same method to question ChatGPT or whatever tool I use when it's delivering information for me before I make decision whether I'm gonna take the output or not. Would you say that you're using the same way, like in your daily life as an architect? And especially you mentioned the Hamburg Elb Philharmonie. If you were the architect now in that project in Hamburg, I'm really curious to know. A lot of risks could have been prevented, I assume, with Alice. But what would be your way to validify whether the output that Alice is providing you to avoid the risks or the strategy it's promoting to you that it's suggesting that you should go forward with a specific way? How would you verify? What are the whys that you would ask? Like, as if it's happening right now. I'm really curious to know, because I never use it in project management that thoroughly. I do it to support my administrative work, but never for decisions in project management, especially because I don't know how to support my work with methodology of checking the truthfulness, the truth behind the information that comes from AI. Or maybe I'm fearful, I don't know.
So, for example, with Alice technology and how I would have acted if I was the architect in the Elb Philharmonie. So, for example, I first this project was in 2007 introduced to the public, and at that time, Revit and the BIM, the building information model, was not around the corner. It's introduced later in 2012 or 13. This by itself, this program, we were working before that. Most of the people, most of the architects were working on, let's say, AutoCAD, Vectorworks, Nemetschek, let's say in the German community, or Allplan. And this was only done in 2D, maybe in AutoCAD in 3D, some of them, but mainly architects were using it in 2D. So let's imagine like a file. First, the architects are working on, and then they're communicating with civil engineers, and they're sending this file, and this file it's getting back again to the architects, and there is based on that they are made based on that they are made like propositions. So where how much how much the wall should be thick, which etc. Should I say? And then this project is tossed to the electricians, and then to the people who are responsible for the mechanic behind that. And this file is tossed around, and in the meantime, it can lose data, or this file can get corrupted, and etc. And it's a really long process, like time-consuming. And the focus is on errors that can arise. Somebody cannot, the human error, somebody can read this falsely, or I don't know, in between, like checking in, is this like that, etc. With Revit, this could have been avoided because this program is, in my opinion, revolutionary. This program provides 3D modeling, like you're drawing in 3D directly, if that makes sense. Even if you're, at the moment you're drawing, what it looks like in 2D, actually it's 3D. And you can see every error that can arise in this model. And if you are quite precise in the output inside, like what type of materials are you using, from which supplier, how much are they costing now, because it still has limits. Revit at the moment cannot adapt like the changing prices. You have to put them inside manually. But Revit has like a Excel part, let's say, in which allows you to, for example, if you put the correct, let's say it's windows, and the type of glass it will use, whether it's tinted, how much percentage with the light, UV, etc. The frames of the window, the supplier, etc., the location of the supplier, it will, with 1 or 2 clicks, let's say, it will provide you how much it will cost. And based on that, you can further, like it's in seconds, let's say. And with this information, you can further go with it because it's a backed up information from the architect. So this is the starting point of the LPC Harmony building. And afterwards with AI, Alice technology is collaborating also with the BIM sector. It's like a plugin where the project managers can extract this data and basically plan inside. It can see, for example, it can calculate how long, for example, it will take for the floor, the cement floor to be dried out so it can continue with the next step of the project, let's say, the time. And for example, you can input inside whether somebody has gotten sick, that you're working with 6 people, realistically from this data, how many time will it prolonged, or etc. In this manner, it would have been shortened the time. Of course, I'm not excluding that the software, the AI software cannot make mistakes, but it depends also of how precisely you put the information and how much information you have at a certain time, because information sometimes can come a day late, or I don't know if you understand me in this manner. But if you have the information at the correct time, you can save the time, and with the time, the budgeting, should I say, like the money itself. It wouldn't have been long. It wouldn't have lasted 7 years, let's say. There is always calculated risk before even the project starts, that with inflation and everything, the cost of materials and labor, maybe it will arise depending on country, because I'm talking very general here. I don't want to get into building codes because it can vary from country to country in the legal aspect. But I'm talking very general. So yeah, it would have been in a shorter time introduced to the in full. The full building would have been introduced to the community much early, in my opinion, with these two things, because it would better the communication, which is quite important, and the calculation of the delivery of materials, because with the Philharmony, the glass was, I think, handmade, which is quite expensive, and it's tilted a little bit, which takes some time, each piece to be produced and then delivered. It cannot be damaged in the meantime of the delivery, etc. I think that this could have been calculated, for example, with the Alice tools.
So when we were talking yesterday, you mentioned that the shape of the main room where the orchestra is supposed to play, how to say, the amphitheater, or
Philharmony inside, yeah.
The Philharmony. I mean, the shape of the ceiling was actually round, and it's supposed to be like an ellipse. Do you think that if they were using Alice would provide them with a warning or suggestion on the construction? Would have been the advocate of the devil or the devil itself? Would they say, I'm the architect here, I know what I'm doing, and they would not consult with Alice? Like, what is your stance on that?
That's a good question. Basically, I think that there are other tools. I don't think that Alice would warn you whether a building is because with the Philharmony, the problem was with inside of the inside with the materials, because they were not the acoustic was not sufficient, should I say? And basically, I think that it wouldn't give a warning, should I say, if the acoustic is good. You have to know that, basically.
Yeah.
You have to know your materials, because you put the information inside, but the quantity, like the delivery, the logistics, should I say, behind it, it's the main thing of this tool.
I see. And there are some comments here. I read the last one that says, my 2 cents, that Viapuri says that garbage in, garbage out, we know that it's an age-old saying. I think we should first concentrate on data, and then this AI agent can be put to use. I completely agree.
Yes.
But now it's a playground. Can we trust? Not completely. I cannot completely trust them, because I firsthand know how the data enters. And maybe how Alice was built specifically. I don't know why I keep talking about Alice, because I'm fascinated by you mentioned yesterday how much help provides the architects or the construction project managers. But who is behind Alice? Do we know where the data comes from? Who sits down and drills the data and measures whether the data is pure and clean and
Basically, as understood, these are people that started this project from Stanford. You can search it online, or I can provide you with that information. Of course, it's not a problem. They were enthusiasts which knew what the construction sector was, what challenges was facing, and they decided to combine this experience or knowledge, should I say, putting it in an AI tool in which it can it will be like an extra pair of hands, should I say? So you can see the horizon and what things you need to do in the moment. But it all depends on the information you put it inside. The eye itself is just a tool. It's just like a hammer. If you don't put it in your hand, it won't hit the nail. You know what I mean?
Even an Excel won't give the proper output that you expect if you feed it with the wrong data.
Yes.
Or even worse, if you don't know how to use that data, there's not going to be any output. But let me just be fair to everyone and read through, make sure we read all the comments.
Yeah.
Robert is amusing us, strictly messing here. Maybe you want to read this or tell us, Robert, on your end. He says, quality, trust, decision right. Yes, carry on, please.
Let's see. I put too much in the chat. I'm scrolling now to see where I. Oh, yeah. So trust, such an important topic, but very ambiguous, right? So one point I like to make about trust is that as soon as the topic comes up, we need to double click. What is it about trust that we need to isolate? Is it about someone, and now AI comes into the conversation about trust. It's one thing for people to trust each other, and it's another thing for people to trust AI. With agentic AI, it's interesting to think about one AI agent trusting another AI agent, but the four components of competence, honesty, dependability, and benevolence. I just think that every conversation about trust, it's worth going into the detail about those four components, so that we really, I don't know, just understand the source of what's BS, what's garbage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll just stop there. I don't want, I'm looking at the clock, but
So, was this in a form of a question? I'm not understanding now. For example,
no, it's
No,
just a
it was.
reaction. No, no question.
just a
Just
reaction?
I'm musing. I'm in improv. We
Yeah.
call it yes and.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then when
Yeah.
Marie, when you were talking about validation and this never-ending problem of
Yes.
trust and validation, I'm teasing the Racy matrix. Like, what you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the Racy matrix has been around a long time. I mean, what's not to like about the Racy matrix?
Yeah, there are a lot of things, and I'm looking forward to the session that Robert will give us. And I think it's also part of the presentation that I'm going to use it to close the session. If you're interested too. So Robert's speaking about the presentation of creating symphonies rather than living in a VUCA world. I'm looking forward to that and learn more about that. Before I give you the floor, via Puri, let me just briefly. Lopez says, sorry, prior to AI in the way we know it after ChatGPT in 2020, it was ML and neural models. Yes, that was what we used for our custom application for collecting lessons learned for project management.
Yeah, and I also
Garbage.
like to mention, like within weeks, I would say, and months, it's evolving. Currently, we're like in a bubble, but it will come down to which tool is the simplest to use.
Yes.
Because we have like different age group. Of course, for the younger people, it's much easier, should I say? But let's say people who are older may have some difficulties navigating it. It will come all to which tool is easier to use and which will serve me better.
True.
Because we'll have like different names of the same eye, but like they're doing the same thing, but it will come down to what's the best tool I can use to get these results faster and more efficient.
And to the garbage in, garbage out, we were talking, and also to understand whether we have ChatGPT or any AI tool as the devil's advocate or the devil itself, to make sure that we can trust it. Victoria Vaca actually made a very good point. That's why we need the EU AI Act to regulate all this stuff.
Good comment, Thomas. This is a really good discussion.
Yes. And I think the EU AI Act, maybe if Victoria, you have more on that topic, or you can bring yourself or Gloria to talk about that. We can organize a session for that if you have more input about. We would love to hear where we stand and how things are developing into regulating this stuff. And
what is this?
Do you mean zero governance or you mean zero trust? I believe a good balance in good governance and more trust would be good for starters. And do you still have anything to say, Vaya Puri, before I proceed with the presentation into closure?
No, I mean, just one last point. Robert touched upon RACI matrix. In my organization, at least, when we are in discussing the RACI matrix, the shit has already hit the fan, and so everything is done. We are no longer running towards the same objective, rather covering our rear end with the RACI matrix. So
yeah, pointing fingers with the RACI matrix. That's what it
exactly.
is.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I will touch upon RACI matrix to start with, but we never ever touch the RACI matrix after that, because we want to achieve an objective and not to point fingers. Although it is a very important tool in project management, I personally use that very seldom. I mean, once or twice, because there might be few folks who are never ever aligned. Yeah. So to bring them on board, you use a RACI matrix. Otherwise, we work with one team attitude. Yeah.
Yeah. Or they are used to it and they're like, where's the RACI matrix? I cannot function without it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
It is something, just laying in the car, nobody is using it, but still somebody wants to know, oh, what is it?
Yes. RACI is better than nothing, which is a very low bar. RACI is a license for very low expectations. That's a very good point. And we need challenging thoughts like this, because when we get used to functioning in a way, we get to think and see whether this way we function is useful or not. We become so on an autopilot that we forget to question the way we work. Okay, maybe we can take this conversation as my colleague Thomas is proposing on our LinkedIn group. Thank you, Olya, for this fantastic presentation and for freeing more time for the Q&A. I appreciate that.
I took it like that because I'm really happy that it sparked some interest, because every person has an opinion about it. Some have experience with that, and we're just here in the community, we're sharing experiences, of course. But this was my whole point of having a good discussion, like, yes, no, but what about this? And how are you approaching this? And this was my intent. Yeah. This was my intent. And to think of that, I was afraid that I wouldn't have any questions.
I have the list of questions, but I'm glad that the discussion kicked off and it's still ongoing. Thank you for that. And I'll go back to the presentation now. Yes. So you will have the chance now to read the session, to read our colleague Olya, and you will see the presentation here. Can you confirm that you're seeing it? It's actually a slide that has the QR code. You can scan it with your phone. It's about the Mentimeter location that I'll share it briefly. The web page, I'll do that too. I'll put it in the chat. Nope. Doesn't want to copy. For some reason. Come on, Maria. You can do this. There you go. This is the link for the Mentimeter, and the code goes right after. For those who don't want to scan your phone with your phone and you want to do it through the browser, I'll find you right there soon. There we go. You probably see my presentation or the Mentimeter. Everyone is reading it. That's great. There are 17 people left on the chat. Please rate and empower Olya for stepping in and making a session just shortly after joining our team. That was very motivational for us, for the rest of us, and probably for a lot of from you who, if you are inspired and have a topic to discuss about, please come forward and we can organize it for you.
course.
Also,
And
this is the yes.
This is a great opportunity for networking, for sharing, of course, experience, but also thoughts. You know,
Yeah.
when you're speaking with somebody, you can have a different perspective, and this is a great platform, so we can do that.
Exactly. I also see it as a trial platform where you can test your abilities for presenting if you're
Yes.
young in the career. Something like Toastmasters, but not necessarily. You can also get your feedback through the Mentimeter in a way. All right. Thank you for your votes. I'm going to the next slide. This is important for us to know how we're doing our work, whether we are inspiring you or not. Please share your thoughts on this. Amazing. And if you have any ideas for how we could improve things or topics that you want to see, you can do that on the next slide. And we do really take this into consideration, and we try to find speakers that will cover the topics that you're interested about. No one, any idea? Okay, this can be open, and it's a brainstorming session on AI. Yes, I can do that. Maybe Oля, you can we can create some prompts session.
Yeah, why not? This was the whole point, you know.
Yeah, or just discuss failures or successes and
Even
make it an
better.
open session. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can think about something and how we could organize event for a brainstorming session. But this Mentimeter is going to be open for 14 more days, and please use the platform to leave more comments. Doesn't have to be right now. Automation project management. So use case in practice. Yeah, that will be very practical and useful. Knowledge exchange on how AI can assist the PM. I hope, I wish Victoria Vaca was still here, because her and Gloria Miller, who already gave a session for us, they actually have a good knowledge about how AI can assist the project manager. Maybe we can organize something again. And for those who want to listen to that, just search for Gloria Miller on our webpage and see where you can find details for the presentation that she gave for us already. Okay, I'm going back to the rest of the slides. Thank you for your input, and please feel free to use Mentimeter for whenever you come up with an idea. It's going to be the concrete one, the specific one will be open for 14 more days, and you can use it to give more suggestions. Now, the upcoming sessions, it's Elegance or VUCA, a pointy point of view. It's going to be presented by Robert Snyder, who we have him here on this call, on this event right now. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be an interesting session, definitely, something that will make us think out of the box and see what we are using currently and how we are functioning currently in our day-to-day the lives as project managers. Is it actually helpful or not? Maybe we should rethink the way how we function, how we do things around implementation and empowering teams and doing redundant documentation. Then we have PM Surprise with Marcus from Switzerland. He's going to deliver the presentation on the 27th of August. We have value-driven project.
Maybe let me comment here. It's a surprise, but you know, he will talk about how we as project managers practically can make our PowerPoint presentations so that the data we use are really leading towards decisions. So that's a practical advice from Marcus, who is a practitioner on many projects and has also saved a lot of troubled projects. And that's where he learned how to make the right pitches, you know, not to overwhelm the audience, the steering committee, but to make it to the point and using data, because they are always looking for facts.
Yes.
And maybe Maria, while we are at it, you know, the next presentation is by Frank Saladis. And if you don't know Frank Saladis, he is a PMI fellow, and I met him first in 1999 in Philadelphia. So he's around for some time. He was a chapter president of the New York City chapter, very famous. And he used to go to his presentations with his guitar and gave a song, about the unbelievable project manager or so. These were the titles of the songs. So he is really well, maybe I asked him to sing a little bit during his speech.
Nice. Thank you for sharing this information. I wasn't aware. And then we have Laura Powers, also from the United States, and she will talk about prioritization in scheduling. So we are very grateful for having this network and connections with people, especially from the West, bringing diverse and experience that maybe in some ways I don't want to say, but it definitely it's different how they function, and we want to collaborate. We are open for. We are very international in this local group here, and we are very proud for that and happy and grateful. And so I want to invite anyone to join our mission, be part of something bigger, like we are at local group Darmstadt. We are a living example of what PMI Germany chapter stands for: diversity, collaboration, and global connection. We are a team, as you can see here, and we're 6 volunteers from for 5 different countries, brought together not by borders, but by our shared passion for project management, knowledge sharing, and community growth. We believe that everywhere has everyone, everything, everyone has something powerful to contribute, and we are always looking to expand our circle. So if you're interested, you can find more details on our webpage, and you can see what available is there. And if you don't find anything available, we'll create it for you. Just reach out to us. And with no further ado, I'll wrap this session by sharing the PDU code. And I want to inform you that there is a new process of creation of PDU. This was just today created, so it might not be accepted yet. And you might find a problem when you're logging in into your portal. It might not be accepted, but try and make a note on your calendar to maybe retry again by Friday. And this was new to us, and I wasn't aware about this waiting process for creation of PDU. Now we need to do it days earlier before the sessions. It wasn't the case in the past. So if you come across a problem when you're logging in this PDU, that's because of this creation that happened today. It's not a problem. You can retry tomorrow or maybe by Friday. Just make a note to yourself in the calendar. And that's it. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed the session. That was very insightful and engaging. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and I am looking forward to seeing everyone on our next event, which will be on the 12th of, 12th of August with Robert Snyder. Enjoy your evening, everyone, and see you on the 12th of August. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
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 Ciao.
Bye. Ciao, ciao. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Stop sharing and stop recording.
Yeah.
There you go.